Oh shit, look at the framing here. Perfect. Perfect Snapchat story. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Whoa. So I've got another counterculture idea, less futurism, more counterculture, involving hacker houses and startup houses and kind of like hacker commune houses, yeah. So I've talked before about the tech commune idea and also just general basic income and basically how you launch a startup with basic income, because you don't really have to go and hire people. And really both of those boil down to just giving people like the bare necessities, giving them free rent, free food, free electricity, free internet, and maybe a little bit of spending money. And ultimately just free time. Like, that's the problem. That's the reason why people can't innovate, is because they have to work 40 hours a week just to be able to survive and like pay rent. You know, we can't even work like a 3-day week. So one idea we've been throwing around is pairing paid hackathons and hacker houses. So you basically work on paid prototypes every fortnight and run a 2-day hackathon, and then you get a house. So you find a 5-bedroom house and you find 5 people who are really good at what they do, you know, devs, designers, whatever. You give them free food, free rent, free electricity. All they have to do is every 2 weeks work for 2 days on a hackathon. Companies and individuals would come in paying thousands of dollars to create a prototype, and those people on the weekend would basically create that prototype, and then we share the money to cover costs of the rent, electricity, and all that sort of stuff. But so even this idea all boils down to like giving people free time. So basically you'd only have to work 2 days out of the 14, and then the rest of the time we'd expect them to be working on their own projects, their own startups. Some people out there saw me hiding in a cliff, had a good laugh. Hello. So this idea triggered a whole different thought on how to actually launch a startup on the cheap using actual startup houses. So you go out, you find a 5-bedroom house, and you pay for all the rent. So I actually found a 7-bedroom house right near the university in Wollongong for $670 per week, which is pretty good. So then instead of having to pay everyone, you know, $40,000 a year salary, you could basically just like pay for their rents, their electricity, their food, and approach graduates and give them a little bit of equity and a little bit of spending money. But then that's awesome. You basically have like, you know, 5 to 7 people working on your startup for super cheap, like cheaper than anyone could possibly do it. I'm actually really contemplating doing this for my next startup because I pitched it to so many people and they just don't get it. And you know, so there's no funding, and it's a very technically challenging problem that I can't do myself. To the point where I'm working on a different startup to make enough funds and money to hire the people to work on the startup I really want to work on. This is how messed up society is. We need to change this. So here's how I do it with a house instead. I can rent a 5-bedroom house near the uni for about $500-$600 a week. I'll live in there and I'll find 4 other people who are like really good devs, maybe 1 graphic designer as well, and we'll live in there. And I think for a bit under $50,000 for the entire year, I can cover all rents, all food, all electricity, and give the other 4 people a little bit of spending money as well throughout the week. In return, they work full-time on the startup with us. And so people might say, well, isn't that the point of co-founders? Like you meant to just get, you know, co-founders on board who are willing to work for free as well. But the problem with co-founders is they're still going to pay rent and food, so unless they've got savings, they're still going to do a part-time job. With this setup, I can have 5 people in our startup working full-time for an entire year for less than $50,000. What would have cost, you know, $250,000 if I had to go through angel or seed investment. This is another area where the Australian government should really be focusing. You know, what if they just gave free rent, free hacker houses to people, and free, you know, basic necessities like food and electricity? Imagine suburbia just scattered with startups. Every house is a new startup with people in it. And the culture would be amazing. The parties would be amazing. The outcomes would be amazing.